After the support on the last 7 Deadly Sins video, which is now our second most viewed video on the channel, I wanted to make sure to read all of your comments and make the 7 Deadly Sins as NBA players with all-time players. I went through your guys' comments and picked out these players to represent the sins, so I hope you guys enjoy this video, and make sure to let me know your picks for each of these before the video starts, and if you have not gone down yet and hit that like button and subscribe, make sure to do so, and let's get into it. Before this video starts, the NBA playoffs are starting very soon, with teams making their final pushes before the postseason. Make sure you're there to see your favorite team make their playoff push. Is your team already eliminated? Don't worry, plenty of artists are on tour right now, and the MLB season is starting soon. Whatever your choice of entertainment is, SeatGeek has tickets for you, and if you use our code NEXTMANUP, you can get $20 off your first purchase of $20 or more. A pretty good deal in my opinion. The first sin is lust. Lust is described as an intense desire for a certain thing. Traditionally, it is described as a sexual desire, and for this one, I chose Magic Johnson. Magic's career was filled with temptations as a superstar in Los Angeles during the 80s, and his partying was at a whole nother level at this time, as he was described to have the biggest parties in the city after games. A lot has been covered in the TV show Winning Time. Now, some NBA stars have said that this show doesn't show an accurate representation of the team, but if we look back, there are plenty of articles speaking on Magic's partying, and he has gone on interviews speaking about his sexual desires as a player, and as we know, he also did contract HIV during that time. But Magic Johnson, a very good player to describe lust, and it seems like he has got over these temptations after his career and has come into a good standing with his life. The second sin is gluttony. We're going to talk about Shaq here, who is a massive man at 7'1" and over 300 pounds. It has been known throughout his career that Shaq has had some later years in the NBA where he was well over 400 pounds. Shaq came into the NBA and reportedly weighed 285 pounds for the Magic. He stated that by his third title for the Lakers, he had weighed in at over 415 pounds. He also appeared to be a lot bigger during the end of his career, where he would play on the Celtics and the Cavs. Shaq is one of the biggest superstars in the NBA's history, both figuratively and literally, and with that came money and temptations. Like I previously mentioned, going into his three-peat season, Shaq had weighed in at over 400 pounds and was said to have not worked out in the summer or done anything during practices so he could save himself for games. This would spark that rivalry with Kobe, as we all know that Kobe was one of the hardest workers ever and one of the best for his teams. It all worked out though in the end, as the Lakers would three-peat, and even with an overweight Shaq at the beginning of the season, he would still give his all every game, as no one could stop a 7'1", 400-pound Shaq. He also has a hunger for fame and wealth, as we have seen him indulge in countless ads and partnerships, while also becoming a well-renowned business owner and voice of the NBA. Greed is our next sin, and this can be described in a few different ways. You could make an argument that most NBA players who shoot a lot are greedy, but one who I want to outline could have more successful career if he took a back seat. Carmelo Anthony is one of the league's best scorers in history, and he is 10th in points all time. When we look at those top 10 scorers though, there is one difference between Melo and the rest: team success. The only other player in the top 10 to not win a ring would be Karl Malone, with most having multiple championships. Many have scrutinized Melo throughout his career for his moves, stating that he was more interested in the money than the team success, which his track record, you could make that judgment without having much backlash. He also received a lot of backlash while he was in New York, supposedly not trying after getting his contract due to his feelings about the coaching in New York. There was also a time in his career where no one would sign Melo, as he believed that he was still the guy who could put up 30-point games, and it was said that he was refusing to take a backseat role. He would eventually sign with the Blazers and end his career with the Lakers, but he still would never reach the mountaintop, winning a championship. Sloth is described as an absence of interest or discipline in something. Anthony Bennett went from the #1 overall pick in the NBA to out of the league after just 4 seasons. There are multiple factors on why this happened, so let's go through them. First off was his conditioning. It seemed like he couldn't stay in playing shape during his career, as there are multiple reports during his time that he struggled with staying in shape, which is one of the most important things as an NBA player. We can see this as he only averaged 12.6 minutes a game during his career and only started in 4 out of his 151 games played, showing he couldn't stay on the court for a long time. Next was his work ethic, which tied into conditioning. He was highly scrutinized during his playing career by coaches and teammates for not having a good work ethic. To stay in the NBA, you need to work hard, and it seemed like he never spent time on his craft. He also had very inconsistent performances, which he did play, which led him to not starting during his time. If you can't make an impact on the court, it's hard to find minutes, even if it's for a struggling, rebuilding team. All of these factors led to Bennett's downfall, as it was clear that his work ethic wasn't there, which led him from going to a #1 overall pick to out of the NBA after 4 seasons, going down as arguably the biggest bust in NBA's history. Last time we talked about wrath, I gave it to Draymond Green, as some see him as the dirtiest player in NBA history. This time, I want to go back in time. Let's talk about the first bad boy in the league, Bill Laimbeer. Laimbeer was the center for the Bad Boy Pistons, and he didn't care what you thought about him. Laimbeer played into his villain role, and for all the actions we see from Draymond now, Laimbeer has 5 times as many infractions, and if he did the things that he did when he played now, he would not be in the league. He played with a physicality that was unmatched. He had many run-ins with Larry Bird, which would go down as one of the most bitter rivalries, as he would once body slam Bird, and some believed this is where Bird's back injury came from, which would affect his career, leading to his hatred from Bird. At one point, he had averaged over 3.5 fouls per game, showing that he was a foul machine during his time, but he was also a very talented player, helping the Pistons win 2 championships while also becoming a 4-time All-Star. The next sin is envy. When thinking about envy, many of you guys were quick to point out one player in the comments of the last video, that player being Scottie Pippen. Throughout the past decade, it seems like we get new comments from Pippen on his playing time with Jordan, as it seems like their relationship has been deteriorating in front of our eyes. After their retirements, it seemed like they were on good terms, but some seeds were planted over time, as Pippen would show his admiration for LeBron James, calling him the greatest player of all time. Many were quick to brush this off, but within the past 2 years, we have heard a lot from Pippen on his true feelings about MJ. Last year, he would go on an interview speaking on MJ, calling him a horrible player before Pippen got there, also calling him selfish and claiming that he only cared about himself. Pippen's grievances came after the Last Dance documentary, which came out in 2020, where he felt like it was all about Jordan and didn't show enough about the rest of the players, including himself. Many also pointed out that it could stem deeper than basketball, with Jordan's son once dating Pippen's ex-wife. However you look at it, Pippen was not happy with the way that Jordan was presenting their time together, as he felt he wasn't getting enough credit, and feeling like he also helped make Michael Jordan, as he said that Jordan was not a good player once he got there, and that's where the team's success came. The final sin is pride, which is deemed as the worst. There are plenty of players all time we could point out, but there is one that I want to talk about that is currently in the league. Ja Morant has quickly become one of the biggest stars in the NBA, with a Nike shoe deal and millions of followers on social media. The issue with Morant is that he can't stay on the court due to his off-the-court antics. He's currently injured, but he started the 2024 campaign suspended for 25 games due to him waving around a weapon on his Instagram Live. This would actually be the second time he did this, apparently not learning from his first fall. Morant has everything going for him, but it seems like he's trying to be someone he is not with all these social media incidents. Morant has a very high ceiling and is one of the most exciting players we have seen in the recent NBA, so hopefully he doesn't see himself in any more incidents from now on and has learned from his past mistakes. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and maybe some of your predictions and picks that you guys put at the beginning of this video matched up with some of these players. Like I said, I went through the last video and picked out your guys' comments for these players, so hopefully you guys do enjoy this one, and maybe some of your picks were the ones that I ended up choosing. Now, I will be going back and making the 7 heavenly virtues of all-time NBA players, so make sure to leave a comment down below on the last video or on this video on your picks for that, for the all-time players. And like I said before, if you haven't liked and subscribed, make sure to do so, and I'll see you guys in the next one.